have investments that will bring them to a standard that is lower than the FCC definition of broadband, and it then prejudices those communities for further investments, and they're left with second-class networks that do not meet the standards. And so there's an opportunity here for the state to be creative in ensuring that those federal dollars combined with state dollars build networks that actually serve the interests of the communities and where they're being built. So this is an attempt to promote collaboration, coordination between the provider community that's receiving those CAF dollars and the state to ensure that the networks that are built in fact bring value to the communities that they're serving.
So I have a friendly amendment, I believe. The task force recommends that the governor, the legislature, and the Office of Broadband Development work with providers. So what it's dropping, what it's adding is governor, what it's dropping is the word direct. I don't think.
That's all great, Margaret, and I appreciate.
We should be very careful about directing anyone to do anything.
That's fine.
And then the word aggressively, I don't think really.
Sure.
It's a descriptor. I think, honestly, in my understanding of the current situation, I think this is in line with the direction that a lot of people are thinking about with CAF 2 funding. So I don't see this as a huge issue. As long as we're not saying the whole direct piece, and as long as it includes the governor, the legislature, and the Office of Broadband working with the providers, I think that's prudent.
Here's my concern and problem. It's contrary to federal law. The CAF providers, here's why. The
Okay.
CAF providers have made an agreement with the federal government that they will build a minimum of 10x1. States are not allowed to come in and put additional obligations on CAF money. So we would have to be very careful. And it's not the first time that states have tried to do that, and it has gone poorly, and it's really bogged down carriers in the state.
So the issue with the language around combining, is there something
Yes.
else we can say, like?
Here's my concern. Is it really the role of the task force to direct the grant program to focus on CAF areas? We leave all of the areas served by rate of return carriers then as second-class citizens. Yikes, this seems to be getting into a very murky area at the last minute.
And I think, speaking more than on an industry level, we don't need you telling us, go work with them, cooperate. That is going to happen through CAF 2. I've had conversations separately with Dana about how we're going to proceed on this, and we're going to be getting together to visit about construction plans and things like that. So that stuff's ongoing. We don't need a policy recommendation telling everyone to play nice.
What if the language of this did appear in the report though, versus a policy recommendation? And being careful around, I'm getting what Shannon's saying about the words combine the monies. Seems like it could be a trigger issue, but if it said something like maximize investments of the CAF 2 funding to be sure that we're hitting the scalable goals of the border-to-border program, that might provide the.
I'm more comfortable with meet the goals of the border-to-border program and meet numbers and things like that out.
Okay, so maybe,
This notion,
maybe during lunch, there could be some work on this one.
this notion that there's going to be a different standard or second-class networks is offensive to me. And it is not the intention of the industry to build 10-in-1 networks with CAF $2. And so there keeps this drumbeat of 10-in-1, and we're only going to build 10-in-1 networks. That's not what's going to happen with CAF $2. And so I'd like to see this struck entirely. If you'd like to put something in the narrative that waters this down, I'd be okay with that.
Shannon?
Well, I think that the text of the report right now talks about, CAF 2, and it talks about the Office of Broadband, or the border-to-border grant program. There is a way to cross-reference those, drop a footnote, that, we have already seen carriers who are receiving CAF 2 funding utilizing the border-to-border grant program, you know, something like that. But I wouldn't want to see it as a policy recommendation. I agree with Andy on that.
Okay, let's come back to it here in a second.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
could I just say one thing quickly?
okay, we're gonna, actually, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the participation, and I'm sorry, I
That's
thought,
right.
if we can do this under maybe an open public comment.
Sure, that'd be
piece.
fine.
We're gonna take a break, there's certainly gonna be time to talk to members of the task force, including myself, in a moment, because we're gonna have to just take a break. But I'm gonna stop calling on people from non-members of the task force here, we have a lot to get through. Sorry, I shouldn't have done it before, and I'm not gonna do it the rest of this meeting for sure, unless someone says the room's on fire or something.
So to number two, thank you.
Yes.
And Shane's comment alleviated my concern. If it is so that the current scoring does favor public-private partnerships in the grant program, then I think that the second recommendation is moved.
I'm sorry, Bernie just
I
said I
said,
was trying to do.
yeah, Jane has clarified to my
Okay.
satisfaction that
That this
this
is addressed.
criterion is addressed.
Okay, so here, I think, is what we're gonna do, we're checking to see if lunch is here. If lunch is here, I'm gonna give some instructions around one in a second, but if lunch is available, 2 minutes, I think we should take our break now, get lunch, do anything else you need to do, and be sitting back in your seat by noon, and we're gonna walk through the report as you finish your lunchtime, because we just need to keep on time. So the outstanding items that need attention in the next 15 minutes are big ones. This first one, and I would suggest that Shannon, Bernadine, and Andy talk about it to figure out how it would fit into the current report if it's being addressed. And Andy, a number on 10 will work? 10 will work, okay. So, we will be back together at noon, and we're gonna walk through the full report, then we're gonna come back to the substantive items that were not clearly